So who are the best lightsaber duelists in Star Wars? Well, that is something that is heavily discussed across the whole fandom, and I'm here to give my take on the top 20 best duelists in Star Wars canon, ranking them from worst to best, and including some honourable mentions. And as I go over each character, I will be discussing what feats they have in canon and how they fare against feats of characters that I've already mentioned in the video. So with that being said, let's get on with it. So, kicking off the honourable mentions, we have Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn fought very, very well in The Phantom Menace against Darth Maul. However, he was ultimately defeated by the weakest version of Darth Maul. The Maul that we see in the Clone Wars, once he's moved on from being first introduced, where he has like the spider legs, and Rebels Maul are both superior to the Phantom Menace Maul. So, Qui-Gon just putting up a fight against this Darth Maul isn't going to cut it to get in my list of top 20 canon duelists. Now, next up, speaking of Darth Maul, we have his brother, Savage Opress. Savage misses out in this list because he largely requires on attributes other than lightsaber dueling to win his fights, such as his force strength and physical strength. So we are purely going on their lightsaber abilities. It'd be like if they fought, but they weren't allowed to use any force abilities outside of ones that just actively work towards their combat, such as their advanced reflexes that they have due to being like force sensitive. So with this, Savage relying on force abilities and physical strength, he misses out. Next up, we have Cal Kestis as another honourable mention. He is levels above the majority of Inquisitors. He deals with the Ninth Sister with ease. And yeah, a very good duelist. However, he just misses out. Again, relies on force abilities very often. So he's very good, but not quite good enough. The fourth honourable mention is going to be the Grand Inquisitor, one of the best out of all of the Inquisitors, if not the best, hence he is the Grand Inquisitor, but he is defeated by someone that ranks relatively low in my top 20, being Kanan Jarrus. You'll find out where he ranks in a minute. So yeah, I just can't include him. He also, once he dies in Rebels, Vader keeps his spirit alive as punishment for failure, and he ends up losing to a Luke around the Empire Strikes Back period, which isn't a very strong Luke, or isn't a very good in dueling Luke. So Grand Inquisitor won't be included for me. And the last one is a bit different to the others because I really wanted to include him, but they simply lack feats, and this is Plo Koon. Now, I do include some other characters in this list that lack feats, but I include them based on other things, and I'll explain that when I get to them. But Plo simply doesn't have any reason for me to include him in the top 20. His duel against Yoda, his spar, isn't canon, I don't believe. If it was, then he would be in this list, but it's not. So outside of that, there's no reason for me to think he's any more than just your average Jedi, so he doesn't get in this top 20. But with that being said, I've probably annoyed enough of you already for half of you to click off, and I'm going to get on with the actual top 20 to get rid of the rest of you. Oh boy. Just as a quick disclaimer, these are all subjective, opinion-based things, apart from a few of them where it is like a fact that someone would beat someone else, or someone is a better duelist than someone else, where it's like stated in a book or something, but that's very rare. So yeah, let's get on with it. So kicking off the list, the person that I said ranks relatively low in my list, that is Kanan Jarrus. Kanan's feats would be defeating the Grand Inquisitor in Season 1 of the Clone Wars, not of the Clone Wars, in Season 1 of Star Wars Rebels, and after recently going blind, defeating Darth Maul on Malachor. However, Kanan does have some things going against him that holds him down here. Throughout the whole of Season 1 of Rebels, he was mostly getting beaten by the Grand Inquisitor in their fights, and throughout the whole of Rebels, he struggles versus the 7th sister and the 5th brother once they are introduced. So yes, he does have some great feats going for him, beating the Grand Inquisitor and Darth Maul. However, he does have a lot of things going against him, so he can't rank that highly, but if we are going off Kanan at his best, he definitely gets his 20th spot in this list. 19th is General Grievous, someone that does rely on their physical strength a lot of the time and sometimes their other weapons. However, even if it's just his lightsaber combat ability, he does make many Jedi struggle very, very often. And if we're going at his best, I would say that is in Revenge of the Sith, where he does nearly beat Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan has to resort to using a blaster, so uncivilized, to defeat Grievous. So yeah, Grievous's feats would be, killing multiple Jedi. So not too bad, and he definitely deserves his space in this top 20. You would argue that he could go higher, however he does have some things going against him, like he was beaten quite easily by Ventress. Throughout throughout the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan does get the better of him the majority of the time, and he has to run away, and he got a reputation for running away from people, so I can't rank him that high. Now, next up, as a character that some of you may not know, it's basically a better version of General Grievous, and this is Carbon. Carbon only, for me, has one impressive feat, and that is basically making Darth Vader, at his prime, struggle to defeat him. Now, Vader could have beat Carbon, he would have beat Carbon, and he is levels above Carbon in pure lightsaber combat. However, Vader needed to leave the planet, and he couldn't defeat Carbon quickly enough, basically, and he had to get Dr. Aphra to fly a ship into him and kill him. So Carbon fought very well against Darth Vader, but he was never going to win. That's why he's not ranked too highly. He is a Mon Calamari cyborg that wields 4 lightsabers like Grievous, so he's basically just a better version of him. Now, 17 is one of those characters that doesn't have many feats, hasn't actually fought any lightsaber user in Star Wars canon, I don't believe, but this is where the logic comes into it, and it is Pong Krell. Now, the logic behind Pong Krell is he is slightly immersed into the dark side, which for most characters in Star Wars, when they first tap into the dark side a little bit, it powers them up. We see that with Anakin, we see that with Obi-Wan in The Phantom Menace, so yeah, I can use that to boost Pong Krell. He also has literally 4 arms, and in 2 of them holds double-bladed lightsabers, which obviously 4 blades in a fight is very, very effective. That's why Grievous ranks so high and Carbon ranks so high. If they were just using 1 blade, they would not be as good as they were, and Pong Krell has 4 like them. He's basically an organic version of them, so he has the force sensitivity with the advanced reflexes, so it's likely that he is superior to both of them. And obviously he is a trained Jedi at that. So with that logic put together, I think it's fair to rank him in this top 20. Not ranking him too highly, but I still think he deserves a spot despite not having many feats. Unlike someone like Plo, who I can't put that much logic behind because he does just wield 1 lightsaber, so he can't just like cheat like Carbon and Grievous by just swinging them around, or even like Pong Krell potentially could. Now, 16th is a character that does have a feat. This is going to be Barriss Offee. Now, Barriss has bested Ahsoka in a duel. However, Ahsoka did not know it was Barriss, so she couldn't use her advantage of knowing like what fighting style Barriss used. So that's not a she didn't properly beat Ahsoka. However, she did fight very, very well against Anakin. So with those 2 put together, I definitely think she deserves a spot in 16th. Now, she did lose to Anakin, but Anakin had to resort to using the Force to defeat her, which he's obviously superior to her in. So her dueling ability was not necessarily equal to Anakin, but near enough that she could put up an extended fight against someone that ranks highly in this list, so I definitely think she deserves a spot in 16th. She also beat up Ventress once, but she kind of just snuck up on her. It didn't really count as a proper fight, so I'm not including that as a feat of hers. Now, in 15th is a character that I'm not too knowledgeable of, and that is Kylo Ren / Ben Solo. Now, he is stated to be a pretty good duelist, but the movies just don't show it for me, so I can't really rank him that highly. Yes, he was better than Rey and Finn in The Force Awakens. He beat Finn with ease. He was toying with him at first, and he had just been shot with a Wookiee bowcaster, and he had just killed his dad. So, that's pretty impressive. However, is it though? Because he's fully trained and Finn is a stormtrooper. However, Rey, someone that has been using a melee weapon for years upon years, he was beating, despite the things that I just said, until she, kind of stepped up a gear and then ended up beating Kylo. But like I said, those things going against Kylo still make that pretty impressive. He is also superior to her in the other 2 sequel movies, especially The Rise of Skywalker, where he literally beats her before Leia steps in. So yes, he's superior to Rey, but Rey is not the best duelist, so that's not the best feat. However, we do see him beat the Knights of Ren, which is pretty impressive, and like I said, he is stated to be a good duelist, so based off something like that, I've got to rank him in this top 20, and I think that he deserves his spot here. Now, 14th is going to be the apprentice of Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress. Now, Asajj has a lot of decent feats. She's fought against Anakin and Obi-Wan simultaneously multiple times throughout the Clone Wars and does pretty well. She also defeated General Grievous on Dathomir, which is very impressive. She did that with ease. However, that was in early Clone Wars Grievous, not quite his prime, but still very impressive. And obviously, like I said when I mentioned Obi-Wan and Anakin, she fights those multiple times. However, she does struggle against Savage Opress, who's not in this list, but I don't think that's too much of a problem because Anakin and Obi-Wan both struggle against Savage when they come up against him, but it's it's not because of his dueling ability, it's because of his physical and force strength. Asajj also gets destroyed by Dooku when she goes after him to try and kill him, whether that's with the Night Sisters or with Savage. She gets destroyed both times, so she can't rank too highly for me. Now, 12th place is going to be another person that has dominated General Grievous, and that is going to be Kit Fisto, and it was also an early Clone Wars Grievous. This time I think it was it season 2? It might have even been season 1. I think it was season 2 though. He dealt with Grievous with ease. He did not kill him, but like I said, he dealt with him with ease, and that is basically Kit Fisto's only canon feat going for him. But just the way that he fought against Grievous, he handled himself better than Obi-Wan did throughout the Clone Wars against Grievous, so that's very, very impressive. However, he was defeated in about 10 seconds by Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, so he can't really go that high, but still pretty good from Kit Fisto. Now, 12th place is going to be someone that you potentially don't know, and they don't have that many feats for or against them because they aren't seen very much. They are seen in the Vader 2017 comics, and that is, I believe, pronounced Kirak Infila. Basically, Darth Vader does not have a lightsaber. He wields a Magma Guard stick or staff after defeating, something that wielded a Magma Guard stick, basically, or near enough to that. And he fights Kirak Infila. This is just after Revenge of the Sith, and he gets pretty messed up by Kirak. So this is impressive, obviously, but this is like the weakest version of Vader, so I'm not going to rank him too highly. And he also loses to Vader later on. However, it's largely down to force abilities, not just straight dueling. But like I said, he messed up a Vader, and any Vader variation is an impressive feat to do. So he's definitely going in my top 20, and I think he deserves this spot here. I recommend you read the Vader 2017 comics. I haven't finished them yet, but I've seen that this guy is a beast. So going into 11th, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, someone else that messed up a version of Vader, and the version is Nightfall Anakin, which is technically Vader, but he didn't really mess him up. He got the high ground and chopped his legs off, but Anakin was winning that fight. Anyway, Obi-Wan has a lot of feats going for and against him. Going for him, he beat Maul many a time in the Clone Wars. He beat Grievous in Revenge of the Sith. He beat Nightfall Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. However, that's quite an anomaly of a fight. And also, if you go to Old Ben, he defeated Rebels Maul, another anomaly of a fight in my opinion. And then if we go to what's going against him, still staying as Old Ben, he lost to Darth Vader. Against him again is the fact that the Darth Maul fight wasn't a proper duel. He defeated him in seconds down to his intelligence rather than his combat ability. I believe if that was an extended duel, Maul would have won. And then going to prequel Obi-Wan's downfalls, him plus Anakin is sometimes not enough to defeat Asajj Ventress. Him plus Anakin is not enough to defeat Dooku on any occasion, apart from in Revenge of the Sith, but it is literally just Anakin then. And he loses to Dooku every time they fight alone. He also loses to Maul on many occasions, as well as beating him. So, yeah, he's got a lot for and a lot against. I think he definitely deserves a spot around the middle of the list, 11th place. Now, if you want me to expand on why I think the Anakin fight in Revenge of the Sith is a bit of an anomaly, I'll list these things for you. Obi-Wan was Anakin's master, so he knows exactly how he fights. Anakin was very unbalanced due to the fact he just turned to the dark side and he's fighting his master. And then if we go to the Maul fight in Rebels, Obi-Wan used Qui-Gon's stance, knowing that Maul would try to kill Obi-Wan like Maul killed Qui-Gon, which of course he did, so Obi-Wan didn't really have to fight in that fight. He just predicted exactly what would happen and swung his saber about 3 times. And like I said, I think if that was an extended duel, Maul would have won. However, moving on to 10th place, we have someone that is far superior to Obi-Wan whenever they fight. However, I still do think that this is the fair ranking for them, and it is Count Dooku. Now, a lot of you think that Dooku should go very, very high in this list, and I would agree. And I think 10th is very, very high to every duelist in the galaxy, so let me explain why he's here. So for starters, above him are 3 people that have literally beaten him before. That gives him a maximum ranking of 4th, and when you see some other people that are above him, you would say that they definitely deserve to go above him as well. The rest that are left, only a few would be controversial, and one of them is actually factual, that they would be placed above Dooku. So let's look at Dooku's feats. He destroys Obi-Wan every time they fight. He beats Anakin most of the time throughout the Clone Wars, however, loses to him in Revenge of the Sith. He has to run away from Yoda in Attack of the Clones. However, he beats Asajj Ventress very, very easily, so that's an impressive feat. So yeah, he's pretty good, but also isn't the best, so I think it's fair to rank him here at 10th. And I've not spoken on all of his feats because one of them in particular would spoil a surprise character in this top 10. So moving on to 9, this character is stated to be above Count Dooku, not in terms of dueling, I don't believe. I believe it's just in terms of power, but they are still stated to be above Dooku, and that is Darth Maul, and I do believe him to be superior in a duel. Now, Darth Maul has a lot of feats for and against him, and most of the ones for him are also the ones against him, and I'll explain why that is. Now, he does kill Qui-Gon Jinn, pretty impressive. He was an honourable mention in this list, and he does best the Phantom Menace Obi-Wan. However, it's also against him because he got cocky and ended up getting defeated. Now, another feat that Maul has is stated to being superior to Ahsoka in Season 7 of the Clone Wars. Now, the Ahsoka duel is also a downfall of Maul because he ends up losing it. Some more feats going for and against Maul is that he beats Obi-Wan many times, and he loses against Obi-Wan many times. And in the Son of Dathomir comic, his main feat for him, he fought Aayla Secura and Mace Windu at the same time. And then during this whole battle, Maul had his big army and stuff. Dooku and Grievous was there. It was crazy. Obi-Wan and either Master Tipley or Tiplar, whichever one didn't die, showed up, and Maul ended up getting out of this situation, living, capturing Dooku and capturing Grievous. So that is very impressive. The fact that he managed to fight off Windu and Aayla Secura at the same time and stay alive is impressive in itself. So yeah, I think he definitely deserves his place here, considering that his Clone Wars Maul, let alone his prime being stated to be in Star Wars Rebels, where he fights off Inquisitors with ease, which is no lousy feat because Inquisitors are former Jedi. So yeah, I think that's pretty impressive from Darth Maul. Now we're on a road of controversial picks, and it is Palpatine in 8. Now wait, Palpatine, if we were going off force power and their force abilities, would absolutely be in the top 3 minimum. However, we're not. So Palpatine's main feat for him is beating Yoda. However, it's also against him because he only beat Yoda when he brought it to a force battle rather than a duel. He fought against Windu for a long period of time. That also goes against him because he lost to Windu. He fought against Maul for a very long time and ended up winning. However, Season 5 Maul isn't exactly the strongest character, and he did defeat Saesee Tiin, Agent Kolat and Kit Fisto in a matter of seconds, which is very impressive, which is why he ranks so highly, but in that same fight, like I said, he loses to Mace Windu. So I can understand why a lot of you think he should rank higher, but just based on his feats that he has in terms of just dueling, if you take out all the parts of those fights where he resorts to using Force Lightning, or lifting up the pods in the Senate and throwing them at Yoda and stuff like that, then his dueling is far inferior to his force power, so I think he ranks in 8 in this list. Now, 7th place is another one where I've used logic as well, and that is Luke Skywalker. So let's look at Luke's feats for him. In Return of the Jedi, he defeated Darth Vader. In a comic, he defeats the Knights of Ren with ease. So both of these are very impressive. Now, if you go what's going against Luke, in Empire Strikes Back, he gets destroyed by Vader, and when he beat Vader in Return of the Jedi, Vader is said to be conflicted, so it's not really a proper win. However, the logic that I've used here is that Luke is stated to be the most powerful Jedi ever, so you'd expect some of that to correlate into lightsaber combat, because the Jedi uses the Force all the time, they just don't actively know it all the time. They're not necessarily always levitating something, but when they're in a duel, they are connected to their kyber crystals, so they know where their blade is at all times, and someone like Luke, being the most powerful, will have a very strong connection with this and will be a fantastic duelist in my opinion. We also saw him destroy the Dark Troopers with ease. Yes, that's not like a duel against someone, but he's clearly very good with his lightsaber, so I think he deserves a spot in 7th. A lot of people would argue he should be higher because he did still defeat Vader, however that wasn't even prime Vader, let alone the fact Vader was conflicted. 6th place is someone that I've already spoken about, and that is Mace Windu. Now, Mace's only feat really is defeating Palpatine, which is no bad feat. That is incredibly impressive, and that alone is why he's where he is in this list, and he absolutely deserves it. However, there are a few people that are in this list stated to be above Mace. Mace is one of the few people said to be able to defeat Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, and we obviously saw that be true. However, what he has going against him is what I've spoken about Palpatine's dueling being overrated. Palpatine didn't really use any force abilities in that fight, hence why he won, but that wouldn't matter anyway because this is pure dueling. And then Mace also has going against him what I've spoken about with Maul. Him and Aayla Secura fought Maul at the same time, and Maul was absolutely fine. So he definitely still deserves his spot here, but not as high as some of you may think. Now, the surprise addition into this list is Quinlan Vos. Now, this mainly comes from his feats in the Dark Disciple book. I haven't read it, but I know some stuff from it. Now, he disarms Dooku on 3 occasions, and I know he beats him at least once. The Dark Disciple book is basically Quinlan teaming up with Ventress to try and kill Dooku, and spoilers, Dooku ends up killing Ventress, and Ventress and Quinlan ended up falling in love. But the point is that Quinlan is stated to be, or is shown and stated to be, above Count Dooku, but the reason why Quinlan isn't any higher when someone else in this list's main feat is defeating Dooku is the difficulty that they've done it with. So Quinlan definitely deserves a spot in 5th for me, but the person who also has their main feat of defeating Dooku defeated him easier. That's why I think they rank above Quinlan, or not necessarily the only reason why they rank above Quinlan, but one of the reasons why they rank above Quinlan Vos. Now, 4th place is Ahsoka Tano. Now, she has a lot of feats. Let's go in chronological order. I think she fought Grievous when she was 15 years old. Obviously, she fought him earlier and got destroyed, but she did fight him at 15 years old and did very, very well when she was protecting the younglings. She fought Darth Maul at 17 years old and ended up winning. Yes, Maul was stated to be better than her, but she did still end up winning. And then if we move into Rebels, she mollywops the 7th sister and the 5th brother at the same time, and she also has a very, very long duel with Darth Vader, and the writers of Rebels say that she was near to equal with him. She went blow for blow in that fight. It was a very, very long fight, and she did very, very well. So just the fact that she went on for so long with Vader, Prime Vader should I say, and has all of these other feats, and doesn't really have anything going against her. Like, she literally doesn't have any feat going against her, not that I can think of anyway. She definitely deserves her spot in 4th. Now, someone that I was speaking about earlier when mentioning Quinlan Vos, someone that beat Dooku easier than Vos, that's why they rank above him, is Anakin Skywalker. Anakin beat Dooku with ease in Revenge of the Sith. Yes, he fought him many times throughout the Clone Wars, but if we're going off their primes, Prime Anakin destroys Dooku, hence why he ranks so highly. Anakin is also stated to be one of the 3 people that can beat Palpatine, the other one I haven't mentioned yet, so again, another very impressive thing going for Anakin. Everything going against him, bar one thing, is just stuff that happened to a weaker version of Anakin, such as Attack of the Clones Anakin or early Clone Wars Anakin, so I don't need to speak on them too much, but basically what they are is struggling with Obi-Wan versus Savage, down to Savage's physical strength, so it doesn't really matter, struggling versus Dooku all the time, but he did beat Dooku later on, so again, doesn't matter that much, struggling with Obi-Wan versus Ventress a lot of the time. Yes, okay, that's not great, but I mean, he's not exactly ranked number 1 here. And also he has that anomaly fight, like I mentioned, against Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith. Now, going for Anakin again, he slaughtered loads and loads of Jedi in Revenge of the Sith. This is technically Nightfall Anakin, which is technically Vader, but the way that I've separated them is Anakin is still Vader. They are the same person, so I've gone suit versus non-suit, and I'm calling the suited one Vader, the non-suited Anakin. So Anakin slaughtered so many Jedi in the Jedi Temple, multiple at the same time, so he is crazy good as a duelist, and yeah, definitely deserves a spot in number 3 in my opinion. Now, here we go then, top 2. Who's ranking first, who's ranking second out of the 2 characters that I'm sure you're aware are here, and second place is going to be Yoda. Now, Yoda, going for him, has being superior to Palpatine in a duel, however, so is Mace Windu, so why is Yoda so high? Well, Yoda is stated to be the most powerful Jedi of the prequel era, and I'm using the same logic I used for Luke, assuming that some ability carries over, and it's just the way that he was dealing with Palpatine. Like, Mace was equal to Palpatine throughout a lot of that fight, and then ended up getting the better of him. Yoda was dominating Palpatine, and also another feat that I forgot from Yoda was making Dooku run away in Attack of the Clones. Very, very impressive. And he is also stated to be like the best duelist of the Jedi in the prequel era, let alone most powerful. So yeah, he definitely deserves his place here. I don't know why I mentioned him being the most powerful when he is also literally stated to be like the best duelist. That would have been so much easier to explain. Now, number 1 is Darth Vader. Now, he is stated to be canonically the best duelist in canon, but it would be boring to say that's the only reason why he's the best, so let's go over his feats. So going for Vader, he mollywops Ezra and Kanan at the same time. However, these are not the primes of either of those, so it's not as impressive of a feat as it sounds. He does get the better of Ahsoka, which is very impressive. She ranks number 4, and he is better than her, so that's very, very good. He destroys in Empire Strikes Back Luke Skywalker, which, yes, I've mentioned isn't the best duelist, but he's far from the worst. So again, something very, very impressive. And other than that, out of all of the stuff that I have read on Vader, there isn't too much else. Yes, he defeated Kirak in Fila the second time they fought, but like I said, that was quite down to force ability as well. I guess if you look at the Jedi Fallen Order games, he deals with Sirajunda very, very quickly. The second time round, she charges towards him, that is. Also, how did I forget that he beat Ben Kenobi on the Death Star? Something very, very impressive, as Obi-Wan ranks 11th in this list. So I definitely think Vader deserves his spot in number 1, but if he wasn't literally factually stated to be the number 1 duelist in canon, I personally think I would put him around the number 3 mark. I'm not really sure, just because what we've seen on screen from Vader and in the comics just isn't enough, in my opinion. I'm truly hoping that he fights Maul in the Kenobi series, because Maul does say how he isn't powerful enough to defeat Vader alone. How does he know this? Because I think he has fought Vader before. And if they do fight, I hope Vader absolutely destroys Maul, just so it's easier to say that Vader is the number 1 duelist. Because Maul being such a prominent character that we all know is very, very powerful, if Vader does destroy him, and that is a really, really good way to put across how powerful Vader actually is. So with that being said, that is my top 20 duelists in canon. Let me know your list below. I'm sure you're going to struggle very, very much, because I definitely struggled to do this. So technically 25, because the honourable mentions may or may not have been like the 5th best after that. I didn't really consider it. There's probably some others that I missed out that should be in the honourable mentions, like Eth Koth, someone that was superior to Grievous in the Clone Wars. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that. Thank you for, at the time of recording, 8.8k subs, edging closer to 10k, in which I will do a 10k special. I don't know what that will be, but I will do one. And yeah, make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed. It helps me out a lot. Even if you disagreed, if you just enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. And subscribe if you're new around here, notification bell on as well, so you don't miss a video. And yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.